Hey, it's Lauren, and welcome to the show. So, on the episode today, I'm going to be exploring the concept of mindset. I'm going to be challenging you. I'm going to encourage that you think about your own mindset and the messages and thoughts that you tell yourself on a regular basis. Now, if this sounds daunting, then you probably should consider sticking with me. One of the things that I will let you know is that I'm going to give you helpful tools to actually transform your mindset. So if you're somebody who, sometimes is a bit negative, that's totally normal. We've all been there before. But guess what? If you can be aware of your negativity, you are in the position of power to change that. Stick with me. It's all in this episode. This episode has been brought to you by the Task Reduction System. Learn to reduce your work hours by half without playing catch up on the weekend. So the task reduction system is for you if you are working far too much in your business and in life, and you're feeling overextended with no time for yourself. If you are struggling with guilt and anxiety, if you're confused about how to prioritize and where you should be spending your time, if you're doing everything in your business, but your business is not advancing, the task reduction system is the perfect system for you. Learn to identify, label, organize, and schedule in your tasks and create more time and space for yourself. All the details are available at rahrahconsulting.com. There's a direct link in the show notes. Enjoy the episode. All right, and welcome to the show. Today I'm going to be talking about all things mindset. So I guess to start things off, it's probably a good idea that I sort of define what I think mindset is. So mindset for me is your frame of mind most of the time. So I don't want you to think that, it's not normal or that I also don't do this, where I sometimes get into a negative thought or, some kind of negative thought pattern or a really super positive one. But I think that when we look at mindset, it's kind of understanding and being aware of what is our mindset and our frame of mind most of the time. Now, I had an experience when I was a teenager. And when I say an experience, I mean for years. I think that I was sort of negative. I was mostly negative in relation to my mind, my self-esteem, and my mind chatter to myself. So the way that I talked to myself in my head, the way that I thought about myself was negative most of the time. So when I sort of started becoming clear that I was telling myself these untruths, telling myself negative messages, I started to make decisions and seek out advice and expert opinions on how I could go about changing this narrative. And so I ended up finding that. It took me a little bit of time. I watched various movies and books on the subject. I watched the movie What the Bleep Do We Know? You can find that on YouTube. If you go back and watch it now, I will tell you it's very weird, but it's amazing. The underlining message really is just so powerful. So if you're going to give it a go, just keep in mind that it could be a bit dated and it's very strange, but there's a lot of validity in that. So around the time that I was becoming clear that I was telling myself a lot of negative messages, I met somebody who encouraged me to start to get aware when I was telling myself these untruths and to replace them with a positive message. Now, one thing that I will say is that I have, over years and years and years of dedication, I have been able to get myself to a point where I can now observe my thoughts happening to me. So if this is a foreign concept to you, then I do want to encourage you to stick with me because there might still be something for you in this episode. I guess the best way that I can describe it is that when I am, sitting, standing, walking, working, whatever, I can get aware that I'm thinking thoughts. And because I am aware that I am thinking thoughts, I'm able to hear the thoughts that I'm telling myself. So, what this means is if I make a mistake, I'm able to hear myself react to that. So, when I was in my late teens, I was able to hear the messages that I was telling myself on a regular basis. Now, for me, it had a lot to do with body image issues, but I know that a lot of people that I've worked with, they have similar thoughts, but they also have thoughts around, oh, I'm stupid, or I'm so dumb, or I don't understand anything, or I'm so overwhelmed and stressed, things like that. So, when we can start to get clear about the thoughts that we're telling ourselves, that is our position of power to determine whether or not we like the messages we're telling ourselves or we don't and we want to change them. So I just want to sink in, I want that to sink in for a second because I want you to think about, all right, so here you've been hearing me speak. Has there been a talk going on or a narrative happening in your mind on top kind of about what you're listening to from me? So are you thinking about how hungry you are? Are you driving and somebody's just cut you off? Are you hitting every red light? Are you late for an appointment? Are you, excited because you're going home and you're going to be spending time with, your family? Do you have something that you're looking forward to coming up on the weekend? All these things, all these messages, all these thoughts could potentially be going on simultaneously to you listening to me speak now. So, when we are aware that we are thinking thoughts, like I said, that is when we are in a position of power to be able to change those thoughts. So, when I'm talking to you about mindset, I want you to think about, hey, what is my mindset most of the time? How am I showing up in the world in my mind most of the time? Do I automatically default to the negative? Do I automatically default to things aren't working out for me, things never work out for me, or I'm so overwhelmed and stressed, I'll never get things done, or I'm ugly, I'm unfit, I'm unhealthy, you know, I always have something wrong with me, physically, mentally, whatever. So when we start to hear ourselves tell us these things, that's when we get to go, wait a minute, no, I don't want that to be my truth. I want to create a new narrative and I want to reframe my mindset and the way that I look at the world. Now, I never talk about things that I don't do myself or I haven't learned. And so when I was 19, that's when I started to do this exercise. And I'm now turning 38 next month. So you do the math on that. About 19 years of practice on this stuff. Now, I'm not saying it's going to take you 19 years to, retrain your mind or anything like that. I mean, you might listen to this and you might have a complete breakthrough right now. And all of a sudden, a pattern that you've been telling yourself for, decades is all of a sudden gone. So it varies depending on the individual. And so one thing I want to get really clear to you now is that I'd like you to be patient and kind to yourself through this process. I'm going to teach you how to change your mindset, but it's going to take practice. If you think about it in the sense of like going to the gym, right? You don't go to the gym or you don't go for a run and then all of a sudden you're an athlete. You need to work at it. You need to go a couple times a week or every day. You need to show up and you need to do the work. And you need to support yourself while you're doing it. Because if all of a sudden you decide, I'm going to be a runner, but you're eating unhealthy and you stop, you're not wearing the right shoes and you're not going for, the good length of time, maybe you're only going for 5 minutes, you're not sort of setting yourself up for success. So when we are going about changing our mindset, it's really important that we are kind with ourselves and we understand that this is a journey. I've talked a lot about it a lot, but we never start where we want to end, right? It's all about working towards the goal. It's all about, being clear on who we want to be and who we want to transform into, and then making those subtle shifts in our life to take us into that direction. I remember I was listening to a conversation with Wayne Dwyer one time. He was on a radio show or something. He made reference to, as long as the decisions that you're making are taking you into the direction that you want to go. And I love that. For me, that changed a lot about how I teach. That taught me a lot about understanding that as long as we're facing and moving one step, 1 inch, one centimeter into the direction of the person we want to be, we slowly and surely will transform ourselves into that. Now, I think that in society in general, we want everything to be here already. I don't want to do the work. I don't want to figure out what mindset I have most of the time. I don't want to get clear on the messages I'm telling myself. I just want to be where I want to be, I want to be there already, damn it. And I hear that. I totally hear that. However, it's not always going to be the case for everybody. Maybe some people can just go, bam, here I am. I was here and now I'm where I want to be. That's awesome. If that's your truth, that's great. For me, I've had to work at it, and I have to consistently work at it every day. Okay, so I think that it's really important that when we're talking about mindset, that we also talk about the concept of affirmations. So affirmations are basically anything that you say or think. Now, I have a spiritual podcast called The Afterlight, all one word. There's a link to that in the show notes if you're interested in that kind of subject. And I ended up interviewing a guest on there who, her name is Bianca, but she's like a sound healer. So she does a lot with music and sound healing. And it's really interesting because in our conversation, she was talking about the power of lyrics and how lyrics very often show up as affirmations in our life. So when we're listening to songs, when we're listening to the messages in our mind over and over and over again, these things become our truth. So if an affirmation is anything that you say or think, that's why we want to get clear on the messages that we're telling ourselves. So there's a lot of emphasis and a lot of credibility, I believe, put into the whole concept of positive affirmations, because I think that, very often as humans, we default to the negative. And when we can inject ourselves with positive affirmations, positive messages, music that uplifts us and makes us feel good, then what we're doing is we're saying, hey, this is the kind of mindset that I want. This is what I want to think about most of the time. Positivity, gratitude, appreciation for the amazing life that I have. Now, I wasn't going to talk about gratitude, but while I'm rambling here, I guess I'll just let you know that practicing gratitude is a really, really strong way of turning your mindset around. So what I always encourage my clients to do is to, have a gratitude list. Write down 5 things that you're grateful for every single day. Have an alarm set in your phone. Every time that alarm goes off, my alarm says gratitude, 5 things. List off the things that you're grateful for. When I go to bed, I just give thanks for an amazing day, and I think about some of the things that happened, and I think about the people in my life that I love. Whenever opportunities happen for me, like that parking spot I always get at the front of the building of wherever I'm going, I always say, thank you, more please. I put that out there because that's the mindset that I want to have. I want to be grateful for this amazing life that I'm living. And I'm basically programming my mind to focus on all the things that are working out for me instead of the things that might be challenging. Okay, so I guess I'd like you to, so let me talk about affirmations a little bit more, and then I'm going to get you to do this exercise. So if you're not driving, if you're home and you're, making dinner or whatever you're doing, if you can get a piece of paper and a pen while you're listening to me, that would be awesome. If you're driving or you're somewhere where you just don't have access to a piece of paper and a pen, that's okay. But I really want to encourage you to do this exercise because it's a really big deal and it can transform the entire way that you look at the world. Okay, so affirmations for me, like I said, are anything that you say or think. So when I'm talking about affirmations, I am talking about positive affirmations because I am not going to put a lot of emphasis or effort into things that aren't supporting me, lifting me up, taking me towards the direction that I want to go and grow in, right? So affirmations for me, positive affirmations, can include things like anything is possible. I accept who I am. I am worthy. I am powerful. I am original. I deserve all good things coming to me. I am wisdom. I am light. I am financially free. I am abundant. Amazing opportunities come to me all the time. I deserve to be happy. I believe in myself. I can take it one step at a time. I make choices that support me. I'm a good person. I like myself. I am safe. I am open and learning every day. I love myself. I am so thankful. Those are some examples of affirmations. So Louise Hay is the grandmaster. I don't know why I needed to say it with an accent there, but the grandmaster of affirmations. She has an amazing website just chock full of affirmations, and I'll put a link to that in the show notes so you can check them out. Okay. So I'm going to get you to do this exercise now. And just before we do, I will say that at the moment I am accepting mentoring, one-on-one mentoring. There was a time when I didn't think I was going to do one-on-one mentoring, but I have decided that I actually love that. I love working with somebody one-on-one, looking at their business and life goals, helping them achieve it, challenging them to look at the world in a new way, listening to them, giving them resources and tips and tricks and accountability. So a lot of the people that I work with, they just want that gentle nudge to help them along their journey, to help them with their goals, and somebody that just can kind of look at their life in an outside perspective, an objective point of view, and encourage them into the direction that they want to go. So if this is something that is of interest to you, I only have limited space to take one-on-one mentoring clients. You can apply for that opportunity on my website. Send me a DM on Facebook or Instagram if you'd like to know some more details, and we can take it from there. Okay, so let's do the mindset exercise. So what I want you to do is grab a piece of paper, and I want you to draw a circle in the middle of the piece of paper. So a pretty decent sized circle in the middle, and I want you to leave space around the page, so around the circle. So after you draw your big circle in the middle, I want you to draw smaller circles around the middle, maybe 3 or 4. If you feel 5, that's fine, but basically 3 to 4 is a good number. So what you should be looking at essentially after you're done that is a big circle in the middle and then smaller circles around it. Now, I'm just going to tell you, basically guide you on what you're going to do, but this is actually homework for you. Now, I know I've explained this to people before and they just dive right in. That's fine. I've also explained this to people before and they've taken 20 minutes and haven't been able to come up with anything. So what you're going to do is in the middle, I want you to actually write this down. Write negative thought or pattern. Write negative thought or pattern. And then in the circles around the big circle, I'd like you to write positive thought or pattern. Positive thought or pattern. Positive thought or pattern. Positive thought or pattern in each of the circles. Or if you just write it in one and then you know that that's what you need to do, then that's also fine. So your homework is actually to get clear on the messages that you're telling yourself most of the time. And if you're telling yourself things like I'm stupid, or I'm fat, or I'm unlovable, or I'm sick, or I'm overwhelmed, or I'm stressed, those are the things that I want you to write in the circle. Now, I only want you to write one thought per circle. So I would encourage you to repeat this as many times as necessary. However, I don't want you to come up with 5 to 10 pages of negative thoughts. Maybe work on 1 or 2 and then add on in the future. Because I think if we have so many things to think about, we end up overthinking, not doing anything, and then we get down on ourselves. So look at the patterns or the mindset challenges that you're having that are the most prominent, then you can add on. So if you were to write in the middle of your page, I am overwhelmed, then I want you to write on the circles or in the circles around it an affirmation that you could say instead. So for example, if you're saying I'm overwhelmed, you could say, I've got this. I am in control. I do one thing at a time. I am patient with my progress, or something like that. Whatever the truth is for you. Now, this is really super duper key. I don't want you to write anything that doesn't feel good in your body. So if you're saying something like, I never get stressed, I'm perfect, but it doesn't feel good to you, like there might be an objection that shows up, there might be some kind of, oh, that feels bad, oh, I don't like that. Don't do that one. Do something a lower step down, right? Do something that does feel good to you. Do something that, feels like it's the truth. So, for example, I had a friend a while ago, and she was telling me that she was feeling unsafe in her home. And so I said, okay, well, if you can't say I'm safe in my home, is there anything that you can say that's within the, realm of safety, that's within the same sort of category, but feels good to you? And she said, well, I could say I feel safe right now. And I said, yes, perfect. I'm safe right now. So to make a long story short, she started telling herself, I'm safe right now, I'm safe right now. And a couple of weeks later, she felt safe in her home again, because what she did is she sort of did stepping stones up to where she wanted to be. So when I was learning as a someone in my late teens, early 20s to love myself, I was telling myself, originally things like, I hate myself, or, I'm ugly, or whatever. And then I would replace it with, I like myself. Because initially I couldn't say I love myself. I had to work up to that stage. So every time I heard myself say my negative thought, my negative pattern, I would replace it with the truth, which was, I'm a good person. I like myself. I am a good friend. I like myself, or whatever the case may be. So when you do this exercise, it's really about you getting clear on what you're telling yourself most of the time. And if it's not supporting you, it's coming up with a plan to replace that thought. Now, when you hear yourself say these messages, when you have a thought that you can replace, continue to do that, all right? If you get in the position, and I'm not sure if you've heard me talk about this before, but if you haven't, it's good. And if you have, then, hopefully this will serve as a good reminder. Kind of the way that I think about it is when we have thoughts running around in our mind, they kind of circle around, almost like they're a cog in a machine, round and around and around and around and around and around and around and around, and they keep on going. Now, sometimes if you have a thought like, I'm so stressed, I'm so stressed, I'm so stressed, I'm so stressed, it's going to be very hard for you to replace it with a thought like, I can do it, or, one thing at a time. You might just be stuck in a cog of, I am stressed, right? And you can't get out of it. So here are 2 ways that you can use to get out of that pattern. Number 1, you can say in your head or aloud, stop. I am not my mind. Now, by saying stop, that's telling your mind, stop thinking. And I like to add in, I am not my mind, because I believe that we are not our mind, that our mind is a tool, and we don't have to believe everything we think. We use our mind to help us communicate with people, to help us learn things, all that. But it's not, I don't believe it's who we actually are. So when I say stop, I'm not my mind, it puts me back in the driver's seat of saying, stop the thought. I am not my mind, as in this thought that I'm thinking is not who I am. And for me, that feels good to me. Now, as with everything, if anything that I'm saying just doesn't resonate with you, it's just is feeling a little bit uncomfortable, that is okay. You don't need to take everything on that I'm saying as the truth. If it's not your truth, is there anything in it that you can use? Maybe there might be something. If you don't feel comfortable with what I'm talking about, that's all right. That's totally fine. We're all living our own truth. Okay, so that's one way. I find what's really helpful as well is when you're driving and you see a stop sign or a red light, start to get that visualization, that visual in your mind, so that when you say stop, you then put into your head at the same time a red light or a stop sign, and then that really helps you to really stop that thought from happening, because not only do you have a sort of what's the word I'm looking for here? You have like a visual representation of the message that you're delivering to yourself as well, and I just think that's more powerful. Okay, the other thing that you could do, and I learned this from Mel Robbins with her 5-second rule. Now, I haven't read her book, but I did watch this on YouTube, and I use this all the time, where if I have a thought going around in my mind and I can't replace it because I can't stop it, I just simply go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, I'm not my mind. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, I'm not my mind. And I just do that until that thought goes away. And that works for me. And then if you want to replace with a thought after that, that's cool. Otherwise, just neutralizing that thought and stopping it from continuing on is going to be really helpful for you too. Okay, so I recommend that you do this starting now. And one of the things that I also recommend that you think about doing is when you do the exercise and you look at all the affirmations or thought patterns that you could say instead of the negative one you're saying, I want you to consider inviting those thoughts into your mind all the time, not just when you're having a negative thought. So if you're having a great day and one of the things that you wrote down is, I'm worthy, just tell yourself that. I'm worthy. Walk around in your head. I'm worthy. I'm worthy. Yeah, girl, I'm worthy, right? So when I'm running, for example, I go to town. I tell myself so many affirmations. So I'm running, and then in my mind, I'm going, I'm financially free. Everything is working out for me. I am young. I am fit. I am toned. I am strong. I am powerful, etc., etc. And that works for me because eventually, once we start tasking our subconscious with the thoughts that we want to think, and once we start feeding ourselves and our mind with the messages that we want to think that are taking us into the direction of who we want to be and where we want to go, eventually that's going to be our truth. So that is my message for today about how to improve your mindset. I would love to hear from you. I would love to hear about how your exercise goes. As mentioned off the top, be patient with yourself and this journey. It is not always easy. Oh, whoa, watch my language there, right? I just said it's not always easy. Okay. So I'm going to rephrase that to say, step by step, I'm learning every day. Or, practice makes progress. I think Marie Forleo said that. I love it. Practice makes progress, right? So see what I just did there? So get clear on what you are saying out loud. Get clear on the messages you're saying in your mind, and understand that you can change and shift your life in a flash, in the blink of an eye. Next time you say to someone, I can't afford that, or, oh, my body is so sore all the time, blah, blah, blah. Replace those messages. Just go, wait. Oh, actually what I do is I go, cut, clear, delete. Cut, clear, delete. I am financially free, for example. All right, hit me up on Instagram. Find me over on Facebook. Again, if you would like to inquire about the one-on-one mentoring with me, I would love to talk to you about it. I guess if I can say anything to end this off, it would be that if you are not living the life that you want to live, if you are not finding joy, moments of joy, if not joy often in your every single day life, then you might want to tweak some things. And if you don't know where to begin or you don't know how to start, I can help you with that. And I will just say that, when you get an outsider's perspective or when you decide, wait a minute, I want to live my best life. And even right now, I might not feel like I'm worthy of it, or I want to love myself. And even though right now I don't love myself, I know I want to, because that feeling is just going to take me where I need to go, which is, in the direction of my dreams, because I am worthy of having the most beautiful life. So I can help you with that, right? Okay, that's it. That's my pitch. I know I pitched at the end. Anyway, thank you so much for listening. As always, please do share the episode with a friend and leave me a review on iTunes. It really does count. It really does matter. My goal is to get over 10,000 downloads a month for Rah Rah, but definitely over 10,000 downloads by the end of the year. And I can only do that with your help. Thank you so much, and I'll talk to you next week. Hey, thanks so much for listening. If you enjoyed the episode, please do leave us a review where you listen to your podcast and share it with your friends. New episodes every Monday.